So good morning, everyone. Yeah, and welcome to this coffee break organized by SOILveR. We will speak about soil monitoring, ecological risk assessment, and ecosystem services evaluation under the EU-funded EDAPHOS project. My name is Cécile Grand, and I am the project manager in the French Agency for Ecological Transition, and I am the chair of SOILveR, and I have the pleasure to moderate this webinar for you today. Before we move forward, I would like to give you some technical instruction. Please keep your microphone on mute. Please turn off your video. If you have any question, please use the chat. And the agenda today and the program today is at the beginning, a short presentation of the SOILveR platform. And then we will have the presentation of EDAPHOS project by Nicolas Magnier, which is a research engineer in ecotoxicology at the Department of Ecotoxicology in the French National Institute on Industrial Risk and Environment. And Alexandra Zworska, which is a research engineer in ecotoxicology and biotechnology at the Department of Water Protection in the Central Mining Institute at the Polish National Research Institute. And then we will have time for question and remarks. Maybe we will finish just 5 minutes later because the presentation of EDAPHOS will be longer and will be stopped at about 12:5. And maybe we will need a few more moments for question. What is SOILveR? SOILveR is a self-finance platform for knowledge development and knowledge exchange on different topics on soil and land management. Our mission and our motivation is to facilitate collaboration between experts, policymakers, and other stakeholders in order to improve methodology and tools that has been developed by researchers in order to provide guidance towards a better management of soil. And the second mission is to highlight the benefits of this collaboration among SOILveR members and external experts in order to share interest and to join efforts that can drive progress on key issues. The SOILveR members are the French Agency for Ecological Transition, ADEME for France, Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management in Netherlands, SPAC and the Public Service in Wallonie region in Belgium, the Swedish Geotechnical Institute, and HIHOBE is the Agency for the Environment in Basque Country. Here are the key initiatives in the period of 2018 and 2025, and what's the action from SOILveR in this period. First, in 2019, we launched a call and we financed and we found 3 research projects, Premise, Missouri, and SOILVAL. And then in 2022, we had meeting, and SOILveR organized a meeting on soil strategy and loan knowledge with 3 different aspects: the soil monitoring scheme in several European countries, the sustainable land use beyond agriculture and forestry, and the soil certificate and soil passports. And during this whole period, we had organized many coffee break and seminar or webinars in different topics. Some are about biochar, PFAS, oral bioaccessibility, the polluted site management, and specifically with the problem of lead pollution. We had some webinar on ecological risk assessment, on bioaccessibility human exposure. And sometimes we invite researchers or external experts that wanted to present the project from Europe and some European project. And it's the case today because we have the presentation of EU-found EDAPHOS. And specifically this year, SOILveR decided to organize a soil health webinar series. The first webinar has been done this year, the 5th of November. But in 2025, SOILveR will organize 4 different webinars in the same subject, soil health, but with different aspects. First will be soil management and land planning, and then how to integrate soil health in recycling brownfields. And the third one will be on contaminated site management, and the last one will be on concept of technosoil. And if you want to know more, and if you want to know more about this webinar series, you can go to the platform from SOILveR. You will find everything, the whole information about the agenda for 2024-25. But if you want to get the replay or to listen more about what has been done before, you can find everything in this SOILveR platform. And if you have questions and if you want to contact us, don't hesitate to send a message to the LinkedIn SOILveR European Knowledge. So thank you. I'm looking forward for further collaboration and research to protect and to restore our soils. And now I think it's time for EDAPHOS Project. So thank you, and I hand over to Nicolas Magnier.
Thank you, Cécile. I will share my screen. And this one, okay. Normally, it is okay. Can you see the screen very well? Okay.
Yes, everything is okay. Thank you, Nicolas.
Thank you very much.
It's your turn.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you to be connected today. So we will, with my colleague Alexandra, we will present you part of the EDAPHOS project, and especially we will focus on some aspect concerning the soil monitoring, ecological risk assessment, and ecosystem services we will perform under this project. Briefly, and just to present you the overall project, EDAPHOS is an European project which is about implementation of nature-based depollution method, especially phytoremediations, for recovery of contaminated soil. And the concept of this project is also to combine the nature-based solution technology with advanced mapping, risk assessment, ecological monitoring to ensure the ecological restoration and to observe the benefits of nature-based depollution technologies that are developed in EDAPHOS. The project is funded by Horizon Europe Call, and especially the 0104, which is about remediation strategy, method, and financial models. And I would like to just also inform you that a part of EDAPHOS project in this call, there is also 2 other very interesting projects and connected projects, which are Icelander and Aragon, that could be also followed because it's highly complementary to what will be done in EDAPHOS, and we are connected, the projects are connected one to each other. But for EDAPHOS, we have 12 partners from 6 European countries, mainly in Spain, France, Italy, Greece, Poland, and Germany. The project is coordinated by the University of Bourgogne-Franche-Comté, and especially by Michel Chalot. He has started in September 2023, so years ago, until we probably end up at the end of 2027. And as a budget, we are granted we have about 7 million euros for this project. This is the key objective of EDAPHOS project. We have 5 high-level objectives, which is mainly the main concept of the project. The first one is a work concerning the improvement of the soil monitoring, the contaminated soil monitoring, especially by combining remote sensing tool and geographical information systems. The second high-level objective is about toxicological and ecological monitoring, and especially ecotoxicological risk assessment methods and ecosystem services evaluation analysis. The third high-level objective is the demonstration of effectiveness of natural solution technologies that will be applied through the project. And then we have two other high-level objectives, which are mainly on investigation of the environmental sustainability, economic feasibility, and social assessment of the overall nature-based solution value chain. The project is divided in different work packages, and I will present you the three first work packages which are dedicated to the soil monitoring along a nature-based solution process. And the first one is about land mapping at different geographical scale using drone and aircraft, which are equipped with different devices and especially hyperspectral camera in order to determine the soil spectral signature and the vegetation spectral signatures. And in this work package, it will also the place to build the WebGIS platform, who will help us to gathering all the data that will be collected on site and to share all the data that will be collected on the different case studies. We have a second work packages, which is about ecological and ecotoxicological tool and ecological risk assessment and methodology, as well as ecosystem services evaluation. This is the work package we will focus today, and we will present you more into detail. The third work package is quite the heart of the project. It's the nature-based solution technologies that are developed in EDAPHOS, which is mainly phytoextraction based on co-cropping systems using plants and microbes for the soil decontaminations. This work package is also the place for implementation and validation of polluted soil management practices, as well as developing soil health indicators and plant monitoring along the nature-based solution process. And beside these three first work packages, we have also other work packages, especially dedicated to the evaluation of environmental and economical impact of the nature-based solution. And especially in the work package 4, in which we will work on the ecosystems services impact assessment, also the environmental and econometric modeling of the natural solution performance, as well as performing the product environmental footprint assessment. And in work package 5, this one is mainly dedicated to the financial engineering and the financial modeling, working on the nature-based solution green bond engineering, as well as the ecosystem services treasury foundations. And you will have some information today also on this work package presented by Alexandra then after. To do all this work in EDAPHOS, we have different case studies. And mainly we have 7 case studies, which are contaminated site, representative of different type of contaminations and different typology of sites. For example, we have the first case study, which is an agricultural area with moderate level of contamination, but mixed contaminations with metals, polyaromatic hydrocarbons, pesticides. We also have a situation with an abandoned mine site with severe metallic pollutions, mainly arsenic, lead, zinc, cadmium, copper. We have some specific situation, for example, with mono contamination of nickel here in Kozani, Greece, which is due to the exploitation of lignite and quartz deposits. And some degraded area here, it's coal mine due to coal mining activities. So it's mainly diffuse pollutions with heavy metals on these sites. And in the cases today, we will also have other situations, for example, urban area, especially here industrial wasteland in the Bourgogne-Franche-Comté region, which is contaminated with both heavy metals and polyaromatic hydrocarbons. So this will be all the case study that we will work with during the EDAPHOS project and when we will implement the nature-based solutions. Concerning the soil monitoring and the ecological risk assessment, it's mainly under Work Package 2 and Work Package 3 of the project. We have different objectives here. First of all, to monitor the soil, we have defined a toolbox in EDAPHOS in order to identify what kind of indicators are relevant, what kind of method can be applied for soil monitoring. Keeping in mind that the purpose of this toolbox is the ecological risk assessment, not only, but at the end, it's an ecological risk assessment. So this toolbox should cover not only the chemical aspect, but also ecotoxicological aspect and ecological aspect. The second objective is to generate the robust data set on the 7 case studies and along the nature-based solution process. So applied the methodologies that we have identified in the first instance. And then we will, in the third objective, perform the ecological risk assessment. And in EDAPHOS, we will base this risk assessment on a specific approach, which is called the triad approach. The last objective here is to refine the toolbox. That means identify the best indicators for the risk assessment, but not only the best indicator, but also work on how to interpret the indicator in the context of the risk assessment. And this will be done mainly to propose at the end a test strategy that is based on the risk and the weight of evidence approach, and that can be easily applied by stakeholders. It's the main objective of this part of the project. So basically, here the EDAPHOS toolbox we have established during this first year of the project. And as you will see here, we have different group of indicators. The first group is a list of indicators that will be helpful for us to provide information on the potential toxicity of the soil. So mainly it is ecotoxicity indicators using bioassay for collecting hazard information on different organisms from plants, bacteria, earthworms, or nematodes. And in this first approach, we will also study the potential effect of hydromobile pollutions that could enter the surface water that could came from the site to the surface water. So we also decided here to have a couple of indicators that can be relevant for determination of aquatic ecotoxicity. Then we have a second list of indicators, which are here related to the ecological and soil function and soil functionment, with some indicators here, which are mainly related to the general metabolism of the soil. For example, the soil enzyme activities measurement, as well as the soil organic matter degradation capability measurement. And beside this indicator, we also selected other indicators which are related to the biodiversity of some organisms in the soil, and especially using the nematode community structure and diversity index, and also working on microbial biomass and biodiversity using the qPCR method. And finally, the last group of indicators are related to the chemistry of the soil. Total concentration, mobile concentration, but not only, we will also provide information on the bioaccumulation in invertebrates or bioaccumulation in higher plants, as well as agrochemical information, for example, pH, water holding capacity, and so on. So this is the EDAPHOS toolbox that was established and that will be used during the project. And this is the way we will collect the data during the project, starting with the year 0, establishing the initial situation on all the case studies. And to do so, we will use the full data set, the full indicator here, to collect and gathering as much as possible information on the potential ecotoxicity of the soil, the ecological situation, and the chemical information on the site. And it will be very helpful for the ecological risk assessment based on the triad approach. This will be done before implementation of nature-based solution. And then after implementation of nature-based solution, we will follow some indicator through time in order to observe modifications in the soil, toxicity, ecological or soil functions, as well as indicator in the chemical situation of the soil. And after 3 years, we will come back on site to collect soil to observe the benefit of the nature-based solutions, once again using the full data set and performing ecological risk assessments. This is the work that was done this year, starting with a soil sampling campaign. During the project, we have started to sample 5 sites this year. And here you have the soil sampling plan that was implemented on each site. The purpose of this sampling campaign is to collect the necessary sampling for work package 1 work on, for example, spectral analysis, but also all the necessary soil for ecotoxicological analysis, ecological analysis, as well as chemical analysis. So here we have the situation in Spain. Here it was the site sample in Poland, and here the one in France in Vieux-Charmont. And we have also done the same work on Lavrio in Greece, as well as a site in the north of France, here in Carrière-sous-Poissy. We also harmonize the sampling protocol plan in order to collect data and to have information that could be comparable between each case studies. And this is, here we go now. We try to establish the chemical, the ecotoxicological, and the ecological soil profile. This is the initial situations. For the different indicator we have listed during at the beginning of the project. And here you have some first results I present you today with a result from the ecology and soil function analysis of the soil and the ecotoxicology. As you can see here, we started to observe some very contrasted results with obviously we have some sites we present highly degraded information in terms of ecology and soil functions, as well as highly toxic soil, which are obviously observed with the ecotoxicological bioassay. And in some other cases today, the results are more contrasted and will need much more discussion on it. But at the end, what we would like to do is to collect and gathering all these informations for all these indicators on all the case studies. And this will be helpful for the next step, which is the ecological risk assessment. In EDAPHOS, the ecological risk assessment will be performed according to a specific approach, which is called the triad approach. This approach can be seen as a global approach for risk assessment and is based on the concept of the weight of evidence concept. And mainly this approach is a combination of information from different fields, ecotoxicology, ecology, and chemistry, to enhance the risk assessment. I will not present you the triad approach into detail, as we already had a coffee break on it, but I will invite you to follow the replay that is on YouTube if you want to have much more information on the triad approach. But just keep in mind that it is the approach we will apply in EDAPHOS, and this approach will be done in a different step. First one, determining the ecological risk assessment by gathering all together the information from work package 1, 2, and 3, That means chemical concentration, potential for bioavailability, in vivo bioaccumulations, gathering all the ecotoxicological information and all the ecological aspects using the weight of evidence principle to establish the integrated risk and the uncertainties on the integrated risk. And in the second step, in EDAPHOS, we would like also to push a bit forward these methods and trying to identify from a full data set, the optimal data set for an ecological risk assessment. Taking into account not only scientific evidence, but also technical and economical factors. So trying to identify what are the best indicators and the minimal set of indicators that are needed for an ecological risk assessment based on the triad approach. And this will help us in the third step to propose the test strategy for the survey and the recovery of contaminated soils that are under remediation using nature-based solution. So this will be, we hope, at the end of the project, the final objective of this work on ecological risk assessment. And I probably maybe hope to invite you again in 2 or 3 years to see if we can achieve this. But it will be we hope to achieve this point. I think that's it for the first part. I would like now to leave the talk to Alexandra for ecosystem services evaluation. I see that there is already some question. Maybe we can keep it for the end of the presentation.
Yes, I think we decided to wait for the end. But we can change if you want to answer the first. We have still some question, but maybe we can wait for the end. And the question are more
as you like.
general, and maybe some answer will come with the presentation of Alexandra. It will be much better maybe to wait for. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Nicola, can I share my screen?
Right yes, now? You can. Normally I stop sharing my screen.
Okay. Yeah, I should just, Sorry for a moment. I need to make it so. Normally it works. That's why I extend the icon. I have it here. Okay, can you see it in the full screen version? Just if you just can.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you very much for your time. Right now, I would like to present you the other works that we are doing in the second work package in our EDAPHOS project. It will be more concerned on, or will be directly related with ecosystem services evaluation, which is performed for our case studies during the project. So first of all, what can I say? I would like to define you the ecosystem services, what it is, how they can be understood. Of course, most of you or all of you know about it, but we need to define it. And we should understand the ecosystem services. We should think about it as something direct or indirect contribution of ecosystem from ecosystem, which impact on our health, well-being, and we use them and they support and they change our quality, and we use it to make our life better. So that can be defined, the ecosystem services. In our project, there are 4 main goals that we decide to assess the ecosystem services for our case study, because first goal, when we assess them, the knowledge about the ecosystem services, they allow us to understand and quantify the real value of the ecosystem that is already or can be given to us in the future when we make some land reclamation or different activities on that land, so we can know the real potential of the lands in the future. The second, the knowledge about the ecosystem services for our lands can support sustainable development in the region. So that's a very important issue. Of course, what is related, if we know the potential of the ecosystem, we know the value of the ecosystem, we can also incorporate those knowledge into different tools. For example, something like service into decision making, and we can support them in the when stakeholders make some decision about the potential land use in the future. And of course, the fourth goal is to promote conservation efforts in the land which are already existed, which are after reclamation processes, which have a very big role in the society, in the environment, in the region that we can talk about. So that's the main goals for ecosystem services evaluation. What we would like to what we defined. Of course, the methodology. During the project, our methodology for ecosystem services evaluation is based on common international classification of ecosystem services. You will know it as a CSAS 5.1. In this classification, there are 6 main steps are defined. And the first, of course, is the identification of ecosystem services. As you know, we can divide the ecosystem in the 4 main categories. It's provision, regulation, and maintain service, cultural, and yeah, and I forget about the one, but I have it on the second pictures. Then we have to quantify the services, and that is very important because we need to gather the data. We have to measure our outcomes and inputs. We talk about the physicochemical data, but also biological data, and we talk about the potential not effects, but the services that can be performed in the near future. Then we make the valuation, and here we can use a lot of tools, a lot of methodology. Some of them I just show you them on the screen, so I will not read them again. Very important step is make something like mapping and visualization, because in our approach, I will talk about it for a minute. We also assess the basic level. So what are at which level right now are the ecosystem services at the different case studies, but also we would like to create different scenario for the future for this lands, and that is very important when we can mapping them, make some visualization, and then show them to the stakeholders, and they can use it in the decision-making processes when they will be thinking about how to use this land, how to restore it, what kind of activities we should perform this. And then when we show them, if you make this, or you go this path, or if you do it that way in the future, the ecosystem services will be like that. And that's the real ecosystem services, that's the real benefit you will get when you make those actions right now or in the near future. So that's very important. And of course, the fifth step in the methodology is related with the policy and the planning activities, and of course feedback and adjustment is very important. The feedback is very important in the project. We also put attention, and we try to hear not only the stakeholders but also the landowners, the land managers, about their requirements. We want to know their opinion, because we can create the scenario, but only if we cooperate them when we know their needs and a real boundaries where we can go. So that's very important. In our project, we divided the methodology for 4 main steps. First, we make something like baseline mapping. So we have to determine the appropriate lines, because we need to know in which area, what is the scope of the area. We do it based on the current land cover. I will show the methodological results in the next slide. In the second phase, we create the scenario. And what is important, taking into account the scenario are based on the knowledge about the data that we already gather. We take into account the current state of the environment, the quality requirements in the future, or the real requirements for different type of land use. So also we take into account the spatial planning recommendation, etc., etc. Then we choose, we make selection of sustainable indicators. So we need to know how to measure it, because after that we want to change it into the money and show the real value of the ecosystem. So that is very important. And the last one is assessment of ecosystem services, provision of different rehabilitation scenario. So as I said, when we have the ecosystem indicators, then we can assess them, and we can try to change them into the money and show the real value of those ecosystems that will be changed after our activities. And that is the case study right now we perform for Poland, for my land. As you can see, the first step, we make something like baseline mapping. It's something like we need to show in where is the border of our analysis, and the border in most cases is related with the city administrative boundaries of the city, because there the stakeholders, the landowners or the the city can make the actions. We also based on the administrative data, so that is also very important. And for our case study, we also defined different land covers. We used calling land because we want to know what are the needed of the society, the need and expectations. As you can see, the land is highly polluted. It's post-industrial land, but it's I can say in the area with this highly forested. There's a lot of green lands. So maybe the demand of the society, demand of the stakeholders about the potential land use will be not focused on the restoring it and changing it into forestry land, but maybe some other activities are needed, and we need to hear that voice also. So that's very important. In the second phase, we will formulating alternative redevelopment scenario, and we did that for our case, and we do that for all other 6 case studies in the project. What we took into account, we took the environmental quality requirements, because we have to keep in mind that maybe our technique will not allow us to achieve the very, very high level of contamination removal. We have to keep it in mind about the technique ability for the land restoration. So we need to know the quality requirements for different land scenario. We took into account the previous land use, also the recommendation for future spatial planning. It's also very important, because if you want to make something what is not in the line with the administrative documents, then we need to also change that, or we need to make some activities to encourage them to change the law in the city. And of course, we need to improve some social economical outcomes. For example, to create new jobs in that region. It's also very important. Here you can see in this plot only some information that about the existing about the data that we gathered. So there is a lot of impacts a lot of data that impact and were related when we try to find some kind of scenario. As you can see, for each case study, we create 4 different scenarios. The first we call as the scenario 0, because it's something like baseline. When we decide to what will happen and what are the ecosystem services, what the benefits will be if we leave that land unchanged, and there will be something like natural process occurring. So that's the first scenario. So the second scenario for us is to make the afforestation. So we decide if we remove the contamination and we keep this land clear, and we put them. We want to make them the forest. It's only visualization. It's not the land. It's not look like that. The first when we try to or when we think about making something like we want to use the industrial potential of that land to make something like that. And the last one is the fourth scenario is something like energy reuse. And here you can see is the photovoltaic farm. It also can be used and have some kind of ecosystem benefits can be also achieved. So that's very important. We also can make something like hybrids when we take into account and we listening to the stakeholders, and they say, hey, maybe we can make a hybrid. It depends on the area of the land. So half of the land can be used something like recreation, half of them can be used like water with water restoration. We make some kind of lakes or etc. etc. So it all depends, and it defined directly to the land the scenarios. Here, of course, I don't want to take time, but you can see here is when we make the selection of sustainable indicators. As you can see, they are based on the CSIS-5, and here we, as an ecosystem services category, we took biomass production, regulation of the soil quality, climate change mitigation, air quality regulation, temperature, and interactions with the nature. We have something like also abiotic, that solar energy, so that indicators will be used, will be measured, and in further work package will be monetized. So that's the idea. It's only the visualization of the steps that will be performed for each case study, as I said. So first it will be acquisition and take all the data which are needed. Then we make something like mapping for ecosystem services. We develop the scenario for each case study. This 4, one is the basic, so that's we must have it. Then we create 3 different, and maybe 4th with collaboration with landowners, land managers. The 4th step, we also we make the consultation, as I said. Of course, we select the sustainable indicators. We will assess, we will perform the analysis, and then as Nicola said, in the work package 4 and work package 5, we would try to show you the money. So we would like to show how it can be look like and why it is important. And it's not only important from ecological point of view, because we all understand that, but when we go to the stakeholders, to landowners, to land managers, for industrial partner, they then want to see the money. Sorry that the life is brutal, but they want to see the money, and we can show them, hey, if you have this one, here is the sequestration of carbon dioxide, so that's the amount of the money, it's worth like that. And then they can try to understand and they can see the link between the ecosystem and the real value, because we show them that in area or in different minutes. So only the short information, as you can see, that is the ecosystem services general accounting methods that will be based and used by our partner from Greece, from Evotropia. They will be responsible for showing the ecological not the economical value of the money, because you all do understand that they can't be shown as the money if you understand it in that way. Here is only the definition. How you can see it, it's only some kind of, I would like to make something like a small list of the potential benefit that can be provided by different type of ecosystem. I will not read it. It will be, of course, you have access to the presentation. You can read it in which different aspects the ecosystem value can be achieved. So that's only value related with water resource management, with savings in disaster mitigation, because we also can change and we can adapt the land for that use. Sustainable resource of circular economies, of course, when we talk about the potential of biomass. So all that aspects are important and can be monetized. So that we would like to do. And here you can see, because in EDAPHOS, we want to make something like in common, because of course we are based our methodology on CSAS, but also we need to adapt the European Union Soil Observatory requirements and SDAs, and we have something like defined KPIs. And in EDAPHOS, when we talk about the ecosystem services, we need to meet something and mix it and make it in common. And of course, in the final final work package, we want to make something like requirements or recommendation for natural-based solution. And when Nicola was talking about something like green bonds, because we also want to make to show them that the implementation can be a good way for activities for different landowners of land managers. But this task will be also related with creation, something like we want to increase the efficiency of natural-based solution, the use of natural-based solution in restoration and reclamation processes. So that's something like that. If you have any questions, please contact with us. And right now, I think we have time for the discussion. Thank you very much. I stop the screen. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexandra. Yeah, very great. It's at the beginning we say that it will be longer than it was planned at the beginning, and that's true. It's but we have time for question and remarks. We have already some question, and if we start by the beginning, it's two questions are similar. It's how you define the soil quality index or soil function. It was more for Nicola, I think, how it can
link the indicator
calculate.
also,
You
yeah.
speak about risk assessment and you speak about soil health. So some question
Yes,
are how it's
I
calculated.
see two questions regarding the interpretation of the results, whether it's good or bad. This is always a tricky question, because for ecotox, it could be okay. You will have a percentage of effect. You can imagine that the most effect you have, the most toxic it is. But for ecological situations or soil functions or soil metabolism indicator, it's a bit more tricky. We have two ways to try to interpret the results. The first one is if you have a chance to have a local control with no contaminations, but quite similar physicochemical parameter for the soil, you can try to use it as a control and observe the general metabolism in the soil with no contamination by comparison with the site you want to analyze. But it's rarely the case, and it's not easy to have such kind of control. So the second point is the second way to trying to interpret such kind of results is to build a grid for interpretations. That you need to have a lot of formations on uncontaminated soils and trying to collect the general metabolism of the soils and to see what are a soil with good metabolisms, soil with lower metabolism, higher metabolism, and you can then see where you are in your contaminated soil. So, but we have to build this, and generally it is something we don't have. We don't have such kind of interpretation, or we have it in a very specific situation. For example, agricultural soil, we can have some information on soil enzyme activity and so on. But when we are in another typology of soil, it's not so easy to have the information. And the other way is the last way, it may be to think about what kind of soil you want to have. What is the target you imagine? What kind of soil you want to have? What kind of the functionality of the soil you want to have? So that's the way to answer how good or bad it is. It's not always easy, especially for such kind of indicators. It's the same with the biodiversity indicators. It's always difficult you need to have the references or a grid of interpretations. You will need to know what is a good biodiversity, what is a bad biodiversity, then to interpret your results on the contaminated site. Define a quality index apart from risk assessment. In this work, no, not yet. Actually, we based our work on risk assessment, trying to push forward the risk assessment, not only look at the chemical and the contamination concentration, but also trying to integrate biological informations, agrochemical informations, and so on. So maybe from the risk, it could then move forward to a quality index. But actually, it's not done for our side.
Yes, thank you, Nicholas. But for some indicators, it's better. You have more information, like nematodes indicate the nematodes indicator. You can find some references coming from the societies that give you the results. I think they developed
some
variation
indicators
green.
are more mature. We
are
have
more mature
the interpretations. It's a case with the nematofauna index indicators that we generally use, and that's why we try to use it for risk assessment. It's because the people who develop this indicator can tell us what is good, what is bad, because they have built the references. They have built the references for these indicators, for example.
Okay, there is another, maybe in the same field, there is a question of earthworm.
Yes.
You can carry an ecotoxicity test on earthworm. So why don't you continue to study earthworm on the field?
Yes,
like abundance and diversity.
It's a good question. Why it depends with what type of scale we have in the consortium. We can perform an earthworm ecotoxicity test for acute effect, for a chronic effect. For the bioaccumulation, we already did it, but we make the choice to work with the snails for the same reason than for nematode index, biodiversity index. It's because with snail we also have interpretation references. Where if we work with bioaccumulation with snails, with earthworm we can expose earthworm to soil and see what enter the worms. But we make the choice to work with a snail to, let's say, have such kind of grid of interpretations.
Do you have some earthworm on such brownfield and polluted site?
We didn't.
Did you find some?
Yes, we find some. It depends on the field. We didn't make the precise protocol to analyze the diversity of the earthworm on site.
Okay.
Not yet. Maybe we can do. After, I
in
don't
3
know.
years.
We have to ask the partner who are on site if they can have this protocol. Actually, no, it's not done.
Okay. And There is a small question. I don't know if it's Alexandra or you. Which type of information you get from hyperspectral analysis?
It's quite hard for me
It's
because
for you.
yeah, it's
You
for
can
me.
try.
It's quite hard because I took part in this task, but I don't do it by myself. I know only that we use a spectral drone when we measure the different reflection spectrum from that field. I know we use different NRI indexes. It's quite hard for me to say right now, but for sure you can find those information on our website because there's some information for different work packages are already published. So there it should be there it should be defined. But I know we make something like we can assess the content of chlorophyll, so we can check what is the not the wellness of the population, how it looks when we compare it with the something like concentration sites when we have it. But also different we measure different, as I said, the spectral reflections. So we can also so we would like to check what is the differences between different soil, different plant types or hybrids. So it's only I can say, but right now we want to check if we can use the drone with the spectral measurements as a quick method for checking the state of our plantation of our sites. But for more information, just you can contact to me and I will find those information. I will ask for them my partner, but I'm not the specialist in the spectral analysis right now. I just know they check it just to see the differences between the contaminated soil and the control sites, no contaminated, and then based on that we want to develop something like we check if that drone or different equipment can be used for very quickly assessment of the soil of the soil. Oh, I forgot the word. How the soil looks like.
Vegetation.
Yes.
Yeah. The biodiversity plants. Yeah.
If I can add also, Alexandra, for the soil, from the partner of work package one, they have presented results where they can observe, for example, the water content and some, let's say, some elements in the soil by using the hyperspectral analysis. But yes, they probably have much more information by talking directly with the people involved in this analysis. Could be also maybe a next SOILveR coffee break on
just on the spectral analysis.
On the work one, yeah.
Thanks a lot. We have a last question from Mirko Barbero, and maybe you can ask question, and you can speak if you want. It will be much simpler and comfortable if you ask a question directly. Thank you, Mirko.
Sure. Thank you very much. Very interesting also to see how much new knowledge is planned to come. So I'm, as a policy officer, I'm thinking how to exploit this knowledge in practice, also to solve societal problems, very concrete, very much on the news as well. Now, concerning the specific issue, for example, of high copper levels in vineyards, I was wondering whether the case studies 4, 5, and 7, who also include copper, could help in designing practical solutions for landowners, maybe of a vineyard, to decrease these levels, and how to do it very concretely, because you can imagine land managers, they need very clear protocols to follow, how much they can expect to obtain as a success with which investment. And since it is copper only, well, I guess it's not toxic in small quantities, so maybe grass can be eaten directly by sheep who also need copper, by the way. So I don't know if you are considering this, if this will be a sort of applicable knowledge from your project, or there is any other project dealing with this, or whatever. If you would be flexible enough to include this scope to give an answer to this political question and so on. Thank you.
I don't know if we go specifically on this aspect with copper in such kind of agricultural aspect, but for sure we will provide information on the ability of some hybrids that will be used and co-cropping systems that will be applied on the copper mobility from soil to plant and so on. So maybe could have interesting informations for further work specifically on it, but I'm not sure that the project will be able to provide specific solutions directly applicable to these situations.
Yeah, so it would need probably a live project linked to that would develop the concrete
And because
solution.
it's also very specific with the copper contamination in such kind of land, and also the agricultural practices in this kind of
Climate.
yes, could be not directly transferable from the work of EDAPHOS to this situation. Alexandra, I don't know if you.
No, I just agreed. As you said, we just taking into account the efficiency of our hybrids that we assume that we assess of course, the removal of different type of pollution, but we don't think about, we were no focus on typically one or both of them. But for sure, when right now we keep it in mind and you talk about it. So then when we will be making some summary, for sure we have to assess the percentage of removal for different contaminants, and this aspect can be also we can also think about this aspect when we try to make some recommendation or when we try to analyze our results. So that's very important. But as Nicola said, we so far we were not focused on this issue very much.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Indeed, I see it's rather on mining. So it will have a direct application on mining. So can we say that there will be clear indications for the mining sector on how to reduce to some levels that may be, let's say, unacceptable to acceptable levels in a reasonable time, something like that? Because you see the kind of policy questions, very simple, but very difficult, I guess, at the same time. For us to know how much we should wait before having an answer to that one, to have solutions to propose to the mining sector. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mirko. So I think there is no other question. Just another one. I want to say if I am working in the EastLander project, which are interesting overlaps with EDAPHOS. So there is a lot of room of collaboration. So I think Paul Draining will contact you as soon as possible.
Yes. And we have met someone from the EastLander project during the last EDAPHOS consortium meeting. I forgot the name. Pity.
I think
we already we already start to discuss, and yes, definitively we need to make both projects in much more collaborations, especially on the risk aspect and so on.
Okay. So there is another question, but maybe it's not a question, it's a
remark, something like that.
It's a remark, so I let it reading what is written. I think it's time to stop. I'm very, and I'm sorry for if people hasn't time to ask a question, but we will stop this coffee break. Very, very interesting with a lot of result and a lot of perspective, and we are all in waiting for more. And you have still 3 years to continue, and we hope we wish you courage and chance for this big project, a very interesting project. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
everyone.
Bye bye.